Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, I wanted to record a bit of my development session while I'm coding out READINGFLO. And I want to make this a little bit more like a vlog where I just kind of code some stuff, I talk to you guys, and we kind of just like hang out and stuff. So first off, I'll start off with what I'm going to do today. Right now, I just took a piece of paper like this and I wrote down exactly what I want to do. And it says V2 integration. So pretty much I marked this out also as my frog, which is like this concept where you want to eat the frog every day, which is like the most hardest thing that you need to do for that day and most important. So right now we have like V1 stories, which are the initial stories I uploaded to READINGFLO, but those stories are not as interesting as these newer stories that I want to put onto the platform. I went and spoke to customers and they told me that they like to have like pictures and like longer texts that are like more complex and that have more conflict and stuff like that. And so what I did is I created an agent to create V2 stories. And I'll go ahead and show you guys that. So you can see here, I created this where it creates like a whole entire story with pictures and even the descriptions underneath the picture. So I think this is going to be a little bit more interesting to read. And what I'll do is when I actually get it onto the platform, I'll make it really like nice and pretty and all that. But right now I'm just trying to get the text, images, and kind of everything just in place so that I can pick them up and use them in my front end. And the really nice thing about this is that I have all of the narration, so you can have like narration for the text, and also the story is a lot more interesting. And I showed this to a couple of people so far, and they really liked it. They said that the picture is a lot more interesting, and also the text itself is more interesting to read. Like I actually read the text myself, and at least it keeps me entertained enough to be able to read to the very end. So yeah, now I'm going to get all of this text, images, titles, and pretty much all the tags that I put for these. I put all of the metadata first into a separate database, and then the actual content that's a little bit more heavy, I put that into a storage bucket. So now all I have to do is just call those items from the front end, and I'll go ahead and do that now. I think what I'll do also is that I'll create some React component that actually displays like some preset text. Right now I do have a kind of a working setup where you can select different V1 and V2 stories. So I'll show you guys that as well. But I really want to get these V2 stories out so that people can start reading them and I can get feedback on it. So yeah, let me go ahead and show you what the UI looks like right now. So I'm going to start working on that. My main goal is just to get one story. Like I'm just not even going to worry about trying to get this like all working perfectly. I'm just going to get one story, put it onto this V2 section, and then see how it goes. But yeah, let's get to coding. One thing I did want to mention is that I'm using Cursor, so I constantly have to keep reviewing what the actual AI like wrote. So I'll ask it to like write something like a certain component. A lot of the time I'm spending here coding is reviewing what the actual AI wrote for me. Another thing I want to mention is that there's a lot of design choices I'm making where I'm valuing speed over good programming standards. Yeah, I think that's just a part of building a startup. You kind of want to opt for stuff that's more fast. One thing I do think right now is that this story library component is getting really big. I don't know if I want to break this up now because now I'm getting different types of stories like V1 and V2 stories. I think for now at least I'll just keep it as is. I'll write everything into this file and then I'll break it up later. But I went ahead and created a fetch V2 stories. So these are the free stories and I'm doing all the cursor pagination that I was doing for like the previous stories. And you can see here when you go to the first V1s, you just get the normal stories and here is the actual stories. But there is some issue with this because it's not actually grabbing the image. So what happens when I click it? Yeah, it's not actually putting the text or the image. It looks like the words and the metadata is fine, but I have to see like exactly what is going on here. So I checked the request to see if it was actually passing. So you can see it's actually saying forbidden. This is because of cores. I have to go and update that in my actual S3 bucket. So I actually have S3 buckets for all the other stories that are not the agent stories. So I'll go ahead and see like what I did for the cores in my other buckets, and then I'll just apply the same thing. Okay, so I just changed my core settings. So now actually this should take effect right away. And I do get something here, but something else. Okay, moved permanently. So my environment variables aren't being injected for some reason. Okay, so that issue now is resolved, but I'm now getting the forbidden issue, which is due to the path of the URL. Okay, now I found it. Okay, so what I did is I went to images and I copied the actual URL. So my URL I should be hitting is this, but I'm actually hitting this. So the environment variable I added is good, but there is an issue here. It's adding this extra agent stories free string. So I have to remove that. And then I also have to modify image so that way it's like the full word image instead of image img-1. Well, now you can see that there is the actual image from the story. That's the actual image. And you can see here, it's grabbing back the image correctly. It's giving me a 200 okay. So that's cool. I think now the image is correct. Let me just go ahead and check what happens when I click the story. So what's going on is it's calling the old functions for getting the actual text, which it shouldn't be doing that. I should be grabbing the new function. I think there's going to be a lot more work here. I do want to make like kind of like a new page and everything. So I don't want to have this kind of reader here. I do want to still use the reader, but I don't want to use this old style reader. I want to have it look a little bit more like this. So what I'll do is I'll spend a little bit of time designing out the new layout. I'll go ahead and try to get the text and just insert it into this old reader, and then I can get that all like tested out and working. So once I get those functions working, it'll be easy to just like plug and play those functions into the new reader, because that'll just be the UI. I'll have to like modify the UI. Maybe off camera, I'll build out a little bit of a UI and then kind of show you guys in the next video, because that might take actually some time. So, okay, so while I did some debugging, I started to see that the actual text, like for the actual story, is not stored in my bucket. So that means that the uploader that I did, or that I created in my agent, is not actually uploading the actual text file. It's actually uploading the audio, and images are completely fine and like working as expected. But that's really weird. I have to modify my agent to do that correctly. Okay, so nice. Now you can see that the text is coming through. You can see there's a bunch of it because there's like 27 pages. So at least this will be a good starting point for when I create the other UI to actually display this a little bit nice. So yeah, I think for now this is good. Let me know what you guys think about this type of video where I'm just kind of talking through my thoughts. Give the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.